It's 2200 hours. Welcome to GRTS News, coming to you live in our studios in Banjul on the MDI Road. In our top stories, 20 years on after the 9/11 attacks in the United States that claimed the lives of 3,000 people, U.S. Deputy Head of Mission in the Gambia reflects on the terror attacks. Propping the relationship between food and health, GRTS explores popular local recipes to discover how the food we consume impacts our health. Digging deep into our archives, Newsfile discusses the progress report on the revitalization of the Banjul National Library with the National Assembly member for Banjul North. Also coming up, a sensational performance from Gambia Division 1 champion Fortune Football sees them score 3 unanswered goals against Algerian side ES Setif in the first leg of the CAF preliminary qualifiers. Elsewhere around the world, digital economy in focus as Ugandan traders switch to cashless payment to curb the spread of COVID-19. Plus concerns loops in Tunisia over indirect cost of schooling materials. These and many more coming ahead in the news. Stay with us. I am Khadija Bokum. A warm welcome to the news. We begin this bulletin on a solemn note as today, the 11th of September, marks 20 years since the 2011 attacks that left nearly 3,000 people dead in New York, Washington, D.C. and Pennsylvania. Deputy Chief of Mission at the United States Embassy in Banjul, Jason Willison, issued remarks to embassy personnel and recorded a message to U.S. partners in the Gambia. Let's take a listen.
We mark the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks and mourn the nearly 3,000 lives taken too soon. The people who perished were citizens from over 115 countries, including the Gambia. Today, we honor all who died, including Karamo Traoré and Mohamed Jarwa, both sons of the Gambia. These people left behind loved ones and communities who were never again the same. We honor their memory on this solemn occasion and all we lost on that terrible day. We recognize too the heroes, first responders, and service members who have sacrificed to keep Americans safe. Our appreciation and respect are immeasurable. As we note this somber anniversary, we also mark the end of America's longest war in Afghanistan, a war that began in the difficult days following the attacks on our homeland 20 years ago. Building on the lessons of the last 2 decades, the United States pledges to sustain an agile approach to counterterrorism that uses a diverse range of tools, not just the military, as an option of first resort. Among these tools is investing in diplomacy, development, and prevention efforts, both at home and abroad, that can change environments in ways that make it harder for terrorists to thrive and recruit. We are grateful to our allies worldwide who stood with us at our most difficult moment 20 years ago and continue as our partners. Our commitment to them remains unshakable. Days like today remind us of the importance of international collaboration against acts of global terrorism. The United States remains committed to working with its local and international partners and attaining the future we all want, a future of peace and security. Today,
That was the U.S. Deputy Chief of Mission, Jason Willis, there on the anniversary of the September 11th incident. Meanwhile, the Gambia government, through the National Enterprise Development Initiative and Social Development Fund, on Saturday presented checks for nearly $6 million to 52 entrepreneurs. The initiative is funded from the National Sports Levy, earmarked to support youth entrepreneurship development through grants and revolving loan schemes under the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs. Usman Mane has the rest of that story.
Of the 60 beneficiaries selected for the Youth Entrepreneurship Grant by the Government of the Gambia through the National Enterprise Development Initiative and Social Development Fund, 41 applicants were each presented checks for $50,000 on grants, while 11 applicants received checks ranging from $150,000 to $500,000. The support forms part of funds generated on the sport levy an initiative implemented by NEDI and SDF under the Finance Ministry through a revolving scheme and capacity, skills development and entrepreneurship.
Minister of Finance, as the custodian of the public funds for the country, doesn't own the funds, but the funds are owned by the sectors. And this youth development levy is owned by the youth and only youth and Minister of Youth and Sports. We are complementing the efforts in the management of the funds.
The beneficiaries went through vigorous assessments before making it on the list. Abdul Kabir Dafe, Program Manager NEDI, explained the benchmark used during the process.
Our criteria for the selection of the grant, those who were selected, was also based on business viability and self-sustenance. So we want to ensure, even if you have a business idea, the idea has to be viable, it should be self-sustaining, your registration first has to be completed. Also, you must demonstrate consistent record keeping, you must also demonstrate good financial management system, and then you also have to demonstrate increased marketing of your products.
Entrepreneurship development has become a key priority area for government, thus provide opportunities for young people to excel. This, among other initiatives, show the youth commitment in advancement of the country's economy, a commitment supported by Abbas Ba, the Executive Director of NEDI.
NEDI is there and is ready to work very hard with you to ensure that there is sustainability in your business and there is growth in your business. I am quite aware how it was difficult to come to this number. What is important is this number is able to do very well so that we can show to the whole Gambia that Gambian young people are ready to do business.
The pilot project is yet another opportunity for young people to employ innovations and entrepreneurial skills for sustainability. Kajali Sonko from the Ministry of Gender believes that the funds provide opportunities for growth for the beneficiaries. The 2015 African Charter Review held in Banjul passed a resolution that youth should be provided with revolving fund schemes by governments across the continent. As such, Barrow's administration fulfilled that commitment.
These funds are entirely given to potential and existing individual Gambian male and female entrepreneurs who meet the laid down criteria, including being under the ages or between the ages of 18 and 35, and other criteria that have been given to us earlier. Furthermore, under the Ministry's Youth Revolving Loan Scheme managed by the Social Development Fund, 11 youth and women entrepreneurs across the country were giving loans amounting to $3,850,050 this year. The figure will increase before the end of 2021, with the SDF being so far reviewing some of the recent applications.
Minister Baji assured government's continued support to youth and entrepreneurship development in reducing unemployment among young people. The Director General of Social Development Fund and Executive Director of National Youth Council, Sonko Fofana and Alaji Jaju respectively, advised the beneficiaries to put the monies to good use.
Revolving fund means that you collect it, you utilize it, pay it back. The opportunity is provided to other youths. So don't limit it to yourself. Ensure compliance with your repayment obligations so that the benefit trickles down to all the youths in this country.
Government had adhered to its promise. It is now for us as young people to prove that we are worthy of being supported, that we are worthy of being trusted. And government will certainly continue providing for us.
Agro-processing, animal husbandry, poultry production, sheep fattening, hairdressing, among other livelihood skills, are the areas of investment by beneficiaries. Philomen Jata and Omar Jombo Balde thank government through NEDI for the support and assured that the financial assistance will meet its intended purpose. Usman Mane, GRTS.
Moving on, what is the relationship between the food we eat and our health? How much does our diet affect our well-being? They say we are what we eat, and in the Gambia that includes a string of popular local recipes that have significantly shaped our diet and food choices. Going beyond the surface to discover how the food we consume directly impacts our health, GRTS regional correspondent Famara Kanyi spoke with food experts, doctors and locals on the importance of a wholesome diet.
Early millet can be cooked or processed into many different food types, one of which is porridge, an ancient traditional food packed with monumental health benefits.
Millet is a protein, starchy and rich cereal. It's very important to our health because if you look, millet has what we call dietary fiber, which is very important to our health.
I would encourage each and every one of us to be feeding on our locally produced foods, more especially porridge, especially in the morning. It's a lighter food and it has been accepted in the international.
Turning back to our roots, GRTS visited the community of Swarekunda to unearth the significance of the porridge meal from a historical perspective.
Ye mutu company domoro soto je jannin konton bang akadino akol ma koy baka si so symbolize so jari kende asila kul besone andi bulo kono otiyeren kam mono tabo kumara baka.
A traditional approach to healthy lifestyle using locally produced food crops, highly organic foods that can heal a nation from diabetics, hypertension and malnutrition among children.
The food we make locally in our country have a lot of nutritional values, and they don't have any chemical content compared to the imported ones, which have some additives.
Now, if you look at what is happening in the Gambia, is we are depending or feeding on more of the imported food, that's this modern food, and which we may not say that it is bad, but it's like some little health impacts on our health.
Preparing this great Gambian dish requires some efforts and little capital. Bintu Danso has been a fervent lover of porridge since childhood. The younger generation has no liking for leafy vegetables. They even go to the extent of discrediting all our traditional menus. Nowadays, many are highly depending on imported foods. That is why we have all forms of health complications in our societies. In fact, the worst of all is the emergence of the vegetable cooking oil. Aissatou Bajo is Bintu's next door neighbor. She's about 90 years old. Health is something you have to purchase. I have been living here in Swarekunda all these many years, feeding directly from my environment. I have no liking for these imported foods, and that's the secret behind my good health. I think it is high time we train our children to embrace our culture and traditions, especially on nutrition and diet. The most interesting stage of the traditional porridge preparation is the pounding, the last skill modernity wants to snatch from African rural women. 3 women all pounding through one mortar. The melody is awesome. Agriculture and public health officials in the region said the only solution to our growing health challenges is to retreat to our traditionally produced foods. For the news, I am Famara Kanyi.
Famara Kanyi there. Now, following the launch of the initiative DOB campaign to support the revitalization and enhancement of the Gambia National Library, Monson GRTS engaged the NAM for Banjul North on efforts thus far. But first, a look back into our archives on a story by Aissatou Keita that looks at how rather critical the initiative is to improve learning at the country's oldest library.
Welcome to the National Library, the Gambia's oldest archive of academic compilations. It's a wall of scholarly collections from classics to children's books and documentations of various chronicles of the country's history. There are very few public libraries in the Gambia, but students going to school in the capital city can access the National Library on a daily basis during and after school hours to study and conduct practical assignments. Efforts have also been made to create an ICT hub inside the center, but that effort needs more support as the institution faces decline amid the expansion of digital technologies. For others, computers and smartphones ushering a culture of browsing on the World Wide Web has vastly tipped the scale against libraries as people abandoned reading halls and books for the convenience of new technologies. Yet, even technology cannot fully replace or support human perception and intelligence that books provide. The prospect of losing a vital tradition essential to the promotion of education and knowledge is too much for others, including the National Assembly member for Banjul North, Usman Silla, who has called on government to come to the rescue of the vital institution.
I also want to assure you that now immediately after this, I want to launch a campaign to be advocating for support for the National Library, both on the level, at the level of the government, here at the Assembly, even making representation to the ministry if necessary, and also Gambians who are within the Gambia, and Gambians and friends of Gambia outside of the Gambia.
Meeting National Library officials on a recent visit, the lawmaker took time to listen to the main challenges impeding the library's development.
There are buildings of pride. I mean, the Gambia, we are far, far, far behind. We need to bring our National Library infrastructure up to standard. That's the second point. The third point, capacity of staff. We all know that there is no way you can do a library course in country. Although a few days ago I had a visit from Legacy.
Holding a vast and exciting collection of books and academic material which needs to be preserved for today and future generations. The Banjul North Deputy is looking to inspire a massive restoration of the public reading facility to engage and encourage scholarly advances necessary to cultivate a well-informed and engaged population. For GRTS News, this is Aissatou Keita.
From that report by Aissatou Keita, earlier in our studios, we had the National Assembly member for Banjul North, Honorable Usman Sala, to expand more on the initiative. Now let's take a look at this excerpt.
Is this library to the Gambia?
The library has been playing a very important role. It started in the early, the mid-70s, before around 75. And I can remember myself and my colleagues, we were the ones who started using the facility. Then we were in primary school. And that it has really played a very important role in our scholarly undertaking, our scholarly endeavors as students. That is a place where we used to go to during weekends, Fridays in the afternoons, evenings, Saturdays to go and read. So it has really played a very important role in our academic pursuits. Not only myself, but in fact, not only as a resident of Banjul, but the schools that surround the facility. And you have children, students that are coming far away from Banjul in the combos, coming to those schools, and they were using the facility. So it has played a very important role in the advancement of scholarship in this country, in academic pursuits of students.
Great. Now, let's look at the situation in ground. Ever since the launch of the initiative, what has been the situation right now as we speak?
Well, it was unfortunate that the initiative was launched in October 2019, barely before we start gathering pace, COVID struck. So COVID really created that lull. There was a lull in the campaign, but there was so much spirit because between October 2019 to February, March 2020, I had been receiving, calls. People were coming to visit me to express interest. And then even both at home and abroad, Gambians from outside, we're calling. I have been receiving emails indicating their interest to support the campaign, because it was a campaign that I launched to revitalize and enhance the services of the National Library. to revitalize it, because it needs revitalization. And services also need to be enhanced by building capacity, making a facelift of the facility, even expanding it infrastructure-wise. And the other thing also, the National Library had been given allocated a land somewhere around you. I think it's just around this row, but I understand that it has now ended in private hands. I am really concerned as something that I will pursue. This is an institutional layout. It shouldn't be given to any private interest. But anyway, they need this. They need a facility that is going to be symbolic. National Library. That library in Banjul can continue to be the headquarters, but they can have somewhere here so that it can be very close to the university. And then you have learning institutions around here. So it would be of great use if we have it here, around here. A building that is, fit for purpose, a national library that is fit for purpose.
Right.
Just like that one, because that one at the time was fit for purpose. Was really meant for, because before the National Library was opened in Banjul, we had the British Museum. The National Museum is now. That was the National Library. When we were young, we also had been going there. But then that was a facility. It was a residence for the colonialists, transformed into a national library. But later on, this national library at that place, Pasipai Lane, just around Tobacco Road, was purpose built. It was specifically built as a national library by the British government.
Right. Going down a memory lane, how important is this library to the Gambia?
The library has been playing a
There was Honorable Usman Silla there, National Assembly member for Banjul North. And now the National Coordinating Organization for Farmer Associations, the Gambia, NACOFAG, in partnership with the National Association of Food Processors, recently organized a 3-day training for members of Farmer Association and food processors. The training, funded by the Roots Project, focused mainly on governance and leadership skills. Alhaji Mbai was there and he now reports.
Capacity building, which targeted farmer associations and food processors, aims to strengthen the governance and leadership skills of their members to enable them to manage their organizations and individual businesses. Such initiatives, according to the president of NACOFAG, Musa Sow, will ensure the sustainability of farmer organizations.
The Roots has a component for NACOFAG, and that component of NACOFAG happens to also have the national food processors as one of the beneficiaries for the next 6 years. And the benefits would be in this form. You have capacity building, which looks at governance and training on what we are doing today, because it's very key and important that in order to really build a successful organization, to ensure sustainability and ownership by the members, it's important to see how we can identify and differentiate our roles and responsibilities.
Fatmata Sanyang of the Roots Project said the training is in line with the project's objective of boosting agricultural productivity and access to markets for food and nutrition security.
We are optimistic that at the end of this training, after the 3 days, the National Association for Food Processors and their members will have improved skills on how to be better in business management, in how to be more stable and productive and unlock new opportunities. This event is aligned to Roots' development objective. Roots has a goal and it has a development objective. The development objective is to increase agricultural productivity and access to market for enhanced food security and nutrition and the resilience of family farmers and farmer organizations.
Osman Sonko, the lead trainer in the capacity building program, gave highlights on the modules the training covers.
Principally, the modules that participants will be exposed to include good governance, accountability and transparency as the introductory module for the training, since the training is meant to help farmer organizations to be able to manage their affairs better. And then another important module that they will be taken through is on inclusive leadership. That is, how do they ensure that the different entities within the organizations are adequately governed to ensure sustainability of the organization. And then another important module that they'll also be going through is leadership as far as women and gender roles are concerned.
The president of the National Association of Food Processors, Maria Tomas, thanked the organizers for the initiative, saying that it will improve their skills for the sustainability of their associations and businesses. Organizers expressed hope that at the end of the project, farmer organizations will be strengthened through capacity building of their members' leadership skills. Alajimbai, GRTS News.
From the Central River region, now crossing over to the Upper River region, because the Sandu Misra Sports and Developmental Association recently embarked on a massive tree planting exercise on the outskirts of the village. The exercise brought together young and elderly people in a move to protect their forest cover. Seydou Kamara reports that different varieties of seedlings were planted, including moringa, mahogany, and cashew, timber, mangoes, and other tree species, numbering up to 300.
The Sandu Misra Sports and Developmental Association, in partnership with the community, on Thursday engaged in a major tree planting exercise to protect the environment through increased preservation of tree cover. Officials from the Forestry Department expressed appreciation to the association members of SAMSA for the environmental protection initiative.
And trees have immense importance in humanity, because if you look into it, they were seen, because if you look into the exercise, they are planting, enclosing the entire community, meaning it is serving as a windbreak. Yeah, that's number one key thing why they think of, planting this, doing this exercise. And trees, we have fruit trees that they can benefit as a food source. We have some trees that can serve as an economic gain, which is timber, which is malina. And they brought different tree species. Some are Cyber pentantrad, which is bantang, some are malina, and some are timbion, and some are, the local name I am mentioning. Yeah, so to be honest with you, tree, if you plant a tree, the importance is more than one can mention.
The public relations officer of the Sandu Misra Sport and Developmental Association, Ibrahim Sise, explained the primary objective of the project is to plant trees to protect the environment from natural disasters such as windstorm, and also provide access of potable and clean drinking water for the people of the community.
Primarily, we want to protect our environment from natural disasters like windstorms. So this initiative is of two types. The first part is this tree planting exercise to make a wind-breaking system to the village, and the second part is to also make, have for the villagers to have easy access to water. We also have some tap heads that we want to replace the faulty ones.
PRO Sise further said a total of 350 seedlings have been planted. He reiterated the association commitment to ensuring that the environment remains preserved for future generations.
Now that we plant them, the first plan is tomorrow. We already have baskets that we have to put around, that is to protect them from any browsing. Okay, in case we sort baskets, we also have a contingency plan to also go in to the bush and also cut some sticks for a start. Then the second part of the protection is though we don't have that strength and finance, but we have a way that we want to be watering these things even in the dry season. So we have a team that we already put in place to be watering these things for sustainability.
The chairman of the Village Development Committee, Bulli Tunkara, registered his profound appreciation to the youth and pledged their commitment to continuously working with them.
Yiromu fenneti anemo warabatale anemo siara sate kilimutile yo sato yo jewo nyama so bitilo mo manta ko ngoto barola mo be fintitale kaje ko yirol nyil be tutu ye ke komi leftala nyami.
The Sandu Misra Sport and Developmental Association is leading efforts to planting trees that will protect the environment from climate change. SAMSDA is leading efforts in a community green up exercise that provides young people the opportunity to actively engage in nature while promoting environmental care. Members are soliciting support from the people of goodwill to help them in implementing some of their projects as they intend to roll out this activity annually. Seydou Camara, reporting for GRTS News from Basse, Upper River Region.
From that report by Seydou Camara, we now go for a short break and return with sports. Stay with us. Welcome back to the news. Now moving on to the sports stories, Fortune Football Club has made a bright start to their maiden CAF Champion League football as they put the two-times winner ES Setif to the swords in a stunning 3-0 defeat of the Algerian side at the Independent Stadium in the first leg of the preliminary qualifiers. The Petroleum Boys took advantage of a significant home support to defeat the visiting Algerian side in a hugely attended game at the stadium. Famara Baji now reports.
In what was a highly attended game at the Independent Stadium, with scores of jubilant fans rallying behind the home team, as Gambian champions Fortune Football Club host ES Setif of Algeria in the first leg of the preliminary round of qualifiers for the CAF Champions League. The visitors ES Setif were the more promising side in the opening moments as they tried to rely on their technical ability to penetrate the host, but Fortune stayed resolute and well organized to contain them. After a cautious approach with few clear-cut chances at both ends, Fortune hit their host on the break in the 22nd minute when Ibu Sanyan turned defense into attack by launching a long ball into the path of Ibrahima Kamara, who raced past the Algerian defender into the box and brilliantly slotted home the opener to put Fortune in the lead. A superb weighted pass from Ibu to Ibrahima, and the composure and finish from the striker was sublime. Fortune grew in confidence after taking the lead, and they started to threaten the visitors with a series of attacks. And just before the break, Ibu Sanyan came close, but his tight angle shot hit the base of the goal post, and the Algerians survived, but Fortune went into the break with a goal. Straight from the break, the visitors came close to equalizing, but Fortune's outstanding shot stopper Yankuba Sabali denied Setif's Benayard from close range. Fortune, who were very organized and tactically disciplined throughout the game, doubled their lead shortly after the intervals, when Patrick Silva, who was mainly quiet in the game, fired a thunderous strike into the Setif net in the 59th minute. The Fortune midfielder picked a ball on the far side before cutting inside and releasing an unstoppable shot past the veteran Soufiani, who had absolutely no chance to stop the ball, and the fans went into meltdown. The Algerians tried to get an away goal by going all out, but in the process were punished again in the 88th minute as Fortune hit on the break again with another slick counter-attacking move, as two substitutes combined brilliantly to produce the third goal for Fortune. Bully Drame penetrated through the right channel and set up Ali Bari to tap home the third goal from the back post, scoring on his debut for Fortune to seal a famous victory for the Petroleum Boys. 3-0 the final score, and a comfortable victory for the Petroleum Boys, masterminded by coach Jen Juve.
We have the belief that if we play to our expectation as we did in the league, we're going to win them. So the belief, the motivation and the support was there. So we told the boys that the whole nation is behind you to go and make the difference today in the game against Setif. Though they are a big team who have won so many trophies in these African Continental Cups, you understand, no matter the situation, we are also a team that have to be respected as well. So the belief was there, the hard work was there. So if at all we won 3-0 against them, we deserve to.
It was mission accomplished for Coach Jen Juve and his charges as they shocked the two-times champions in front of a massive crowd.
Yeah, a lot of things we have put in place before the home leg. We put into consideration a lot of things, advices from people, also lessons learned from Gambian teams who have played North African teams before. So those are things that we have to be mindful and also be ready mentally, to be mentally strong when we go away to Algeria, knowing that we have 3-0 in place. But it's not yet the end of the game. We still have to believe in ourselves. Going to Algeria, we have what we need to put in place. Going there to prepare ourselves to defend our 3-0.
Now they have to complete the task in the return leg. But with this 3-0 in the bag, the tie is now firmly in Fortune's hands. Farmer Abaji, GRTS News.
Now to the international front, traders in Uganda are switching to cashless payments as a social distancing measure for COVID-19. Online platforms are attracting thousands of consumers, especially in the country's capital, Kampala. The move is meant to capture new opportunities in the digital marketplace, but also prevent the spread of the virus. CGTN Hilary Ayasinga reports.
A busy day at the Chikubo online shop. Orders keep coming and goods dispatched. Traders here say the demand for products has gone up. According to figures from Chikubo Online, the platform recorded an increase in the number of users from 7,000 to about 15,000 in a space of 2 years.
We have noticed that because of the pandemic, which in a way encourages social distancing, cashless payments to curb the spread of coronavirus, we saw many more people joining Chikubo Online, joining our platform to shop and to stock up.
Chikubo Online deals in a wide range of products such as sugar, beverages and detergents, among others. This store serves about 15,000 customers a month. The owners here say cashless payments are increasingly becoming the mode of transaction for consumers who choose to stay away to reduce exposure to the COVID-19 virus. Digital analysts say Uganda has a huge potential to accelerate e-commerce trading.
E-commerce is the way to go. People have to save time, but at the same time reduce costs of operations.
But the biggest downside is high internet costs.
When you look at things like the new tax that we have, the excise duty that is there, that is increasing the cost of internet, that service providers will definitely have to pass on to the final consumer.
Ugandan lawmakers recently passed a bill introducing a 12% tax on internet data. But as the country businesses shift to online markets, digital analysts want the government to review the tax laws. Hopefully, this could ease the cost of doing business online. Hilary Isga, CGTN, Kampala, Uganda.
That report by CGTN Hilary Isinga brought us to the end of tonight's bulletin. But before we take a leave of you, a quick recap of our top stories. 20 years on after the 9/11 attacks in the United States that claimed the lives of 3,000 people, U.S. Deputy Head of Mission in the Gambia reflects on terrorist attack. Propping the relationship between food and health, GRTS explores popular local recipes to discover how the food we consume impacts our health. Digging deep into our archives, Newsfile has been discussing the progress report on the revitalization of the Banjul National Library with the National Assembly member for Banjul North. In sports, a sensational performance from Gambia Division 1 champions Fortune Football saw them score 3 unanswered goals against Algerian side ES Setif in the first leg of the CAF preliminary qualifiers. Elsewhere around the world, digital economy in focus as Ugandan traders switch to cashless payments to curb the spread of COVID-19. Plus concerns loops in Tunisia over indirect cost of schooling materials. Well, this was all for tonight's bulletin. Thank you for joining us and do enjoy the rest of our program. Till then, it's a good night from me, Khadija Boko.
Her small business.